excited to share with you the Know Your Product initiative that I started at my company to help technical specialists to understand our product better. This initiative was very well received by our tech teams and has also caught the huge interest from product specialists from other departments and other organizations. So today, I hope to inspire you to be proactive in steps you take to empower your development teams and build this know your product culture within your team. So before we delve into the details of the initiative, let me introduce myself. My name is Anastasia Haid. For last 5 years, I have been working in B2B product management and focusing mostly on insurance market, especially on billing and payment solutions. Apart from my day-to-day job, I'm also a mentor, a member of British Computer Society, and the head of the business analysis department in London Tech Community. Now that you know a little bit about my background, let's dive deeper into our agenda. So we will start from understanding the knowledge gap. We will explore the disconnect between product specialists and our team members within the team. Then we'll learn about superpower of product people and the basis of the superpower, which everyone who works with product has. After that, I'll describe what Know Your Product initiative is and give you clear instruction how to prepare to this session, how to structure it, what would be the timing and scheduling. And after all, the last but not least, we will cover results and outcomes of this initiative. So, to give you a little bit of the context, I work in an agile environment. We try within our organization to follow Agile Manifesto, and we have different Agile ceremonies such as planning, retro meetings, and other meetings. And I, as a product specialist, work not with some dedicated team, but with a logical product area. And this disposition allows me to provide capabilities to be implemented for different development teams. Sometimes I can be assigned to client projects, and this also gives me insight from, let's say, project teamwork. This unique disposition gave me opportunity to compare and to see the performance of different agile teams. And I noticed that some teams are highly effective within their delivery, while some other teams may sometimes struggle with simpler tasks despite being long-term project members. This difference in performance that I observed made me question, does this particular development team truly understand the product they work on, their impact on the customer, which is in B2B segment, a different type of stakeholders comparing to end users, their impact to end user. And for some teams, unfortunately, the answer was not to the extent I, as a product manager, want them to understand this, their impact, and to understand the product itself. Recognizing this knowledge gap was crucial and was the first step in implementing this Know Your Product initiative. I would like to give you examples which helped me to recognize or spot this gap. This list is not extensive, and I think you'll find something similar in your organization. Might be not the same, but at least to provide you with the context. So I have one strategical example and a few tactical on team level. So strategical is just a very common thing that implemented features do not meet client expectations. As I previously said, I have opportunity to collaborate with clients directly, and I can see or oversee the chain of stakeholders who affect the implementation of the client requests. And sometimes I see that information which comes from clients and to the development team is lost in translation just because of the number of people. And this is probably the one of the main characteristics of information, and it is very similar to a telephone game we played when we were kids. So it just transforms. This is okay, this happens, but this sometimes could be not just because of this basic characteristics of transferring information. It can be also because of lack of understanding the product at some point in this chain, or at multiple points in this chain of stakeholders. This just a general, so high-level example. Let's dive a little bit deeper to more granular example and take development team sprint routine, let's say. As I said, we try to follow agile procedures, and we have several ceremonies. And I noticed that some teams, they, even though we follow agile, and this is obvious that we should adapt quickly to urgent requests or change of priorities, I spot the resistance in some teams to change priorities prior to planning. This happens because of insecurity and lack of understanding of the product, and sometimes teams are not so sure that they could handle such immediate change within one sprint. Let's go further. A lack of questions during refinement and planning meetings. For example, you as a product manager or one of the business analysts in your team presenting the candidates list for upcoming sprint development, and present the scope of the feature to the development team. And you can even invite the architect to present a technical solution behind this user story. And once you are done, you ask your team whether they understood everything, is everything clear, do they have any questions? And some teams are usually silent. And from one side, you can think, oh, that's cool. Like, my BA team is so great. They are defining so clear requirements that everything is crystal clear, no ambiguity, nothing to ask. But that's cool if this is your case. But sometimes it can also be a sign that team do not have this holistic view of the product, and that's why within this session they cannot come up with some meaningful questions. So they prefer to stay silent because of that, and then take their time during let's say sprint to investigate the issue, investigate the user story in deep. This might be okay if capacity allows this to do, but sometimes you as a product manager work under challenging timelines, and you want your team to foresee something. And by this term foresee, I want to go to the next bullet point: underestimation of feature scope during planning. Let's say you had your refinement, your list of candidates for upcoming sprint, and you're now in your planning room playing poker planning and estimating your ticket one by one. And if you see a pattern that tickets usually are underestimated, and during implementation, team faces some issues that they haven't foreseen before taking this ticket to the sprint. If this is a pattern, because occasionally this could happen and this is okay, some technical issues or some interdependencies could occur, that's totally good. But if this is a pattern, that might tell you that there is a sign of the knowledge gap here. And the last example, and I think one of the most important examples, huge focus of your team on story points and closed tickets rather than delivered end-to-end capabilities. I attached here this small pie. Let's assume your capability you want to implement, end-to-end capability, is this pie. And you understand that it is too big to squeeze it in one sprint. So you split it into several manageable, doable, feasible chunks. user stories, and you plan to take them one by one according to priorities. You presented your ticket. There were no questions during refinement. Then after refinement during planning, team estimated this first chunk as, let's say, 5 story points. They started implementation, so they committed to deliver 5 story points and this particular ticket. They started implementation, and then they face these issues, and they understand that this is not a scope for 5 story points. It might lead to increase in the estimation. They do not have capacity, and they are forced to outscope some piece of functionality. You, as a product person, register an improvement for your backlog. In the end of the sprint, this ticket is closed and 5 story points committed by team is delivered. And during retro meeting, team is happy that they managed to close this very challenging ticket. But from your product perspective, you haven't delivered the full scope of the ticket you planned, and this is not so good from your side to understand that there is a scope creep. And instead of 5 chunks, you right now have 5. Instead of 4 chunks, you have 5 chunks right now. It is also a sign of the gap if this is a pattern, and it should be communicated back to the team so that they pay attention that this happens, because sometimes focus on technical story points and closed tickets overwhelms them with this success, let's say, and they do not pay attention to scope creep. So to understand this gap better, I highlighted main characteristics or main reasons, causes of such of appearance of such gap. So lack of clear product vision in your team. Usually team members, especially technical, such as developers, testers, they do not have comprehensive product vision. That's why they do not understand the global strategy where a product moves. Limited access to stakeholders, poor communication, focus on technical aspects, as we just covered in the previous slide, lack of empowerment. Under lack of empowerment, I would like to say that this is lack of voice or lack of feeling that they are able to change the direction of the product, even on tactical level. As a product person, obviously you cannot affect or influence all of them, but I highlighted with plus signs those which you can improve or affect or get rid of with this Know Your Product initiative. So as a product person, you can bring them this clear vision of product strategy. You can become the facilitator of communication within the team, because if your developers, your quality assurance managers, they do not know whom to ask question if they work in complex environment, and there are a lot of department communication or cross-functional communication. You can become this point of trust and route them to the right person in other team, because usually you know the representatives, they might not. And you can, by sharing your personal passion towards the product, you can empower them to know their product better, to understand the need of the end user, to understand the business case of the customer, and to try reach the end user through their day-to-day actions, through their development, or through the decisions they make while they implement the feature. So after this intro, I want to go to the interesting part of your superpower and why you should know that you have it. Because as a product person, whenever you work as a product owner, product manager, strategist, business analyst, whatever is your role, if you work with product and you influence the product, you most probably have access to the source of information, such as support teams, strategy groups, client requests, and insights. Second characteristics of your position, you have a global vision of product development and more comprehensive perspective on the product, which gives you insights, information regarding market fit, some documentation that is not available for other team members in your team. And last characteristics, since you are serving as a bridge between technology and business, you obviously talk business language. And one of the biggest mistakes of product people that they think that with technology guys, we should talk with technology language. When we do this, we lose business context and business meaning, which is crucial for implementation of any product. And the trick is that anyone could understand business language, and people who work with technology could understand business language too. And it is very important to transfer information to them using this business language to give them the context. By this, you will be able to empower them. So combination of access to the information, global vision, insights, and communication makes you a pivotal person in the team who could lead and empower your team. Let's start with this Know Your Product initiative, and let me introduce the concept behind it. This is just a periodical knowledge sharing session or a set of sessions which are recurring, which are scheduled, and the main goal of this session is to provide the overview and the understanding of product capabilities with deep immersion into the business context. You can add here gap analysis, strategy analysis, as is versus to be analysis of system behavior. But the main thing, everything you try to share with your team should be aligned to the up-to-date product vision. I hope this initiative would encourage you to be proactive in case your current approach doesn't work or you see that there is this disconnect between you and your development team. Where to start? So I'll give you practical tips. And I think that the best thing to approach such knowledge sharing sessions is starting from defining the perimeter of the product you want to cover. Because depending on your personal situation, you might want to cover the whole product scope, or you might want to focus on particular capabilities. So define the scope. First of all, then divide this scope into logical areas if it is too big for one or two sessions. Once you divided this scope into logical areas, order them and pick the one which has either the logical priority or timeline priority, and conduct sessions per each of such areas, one session or set of sessions with coverage of logical implementation and from system perspective. Once you have those sessions recorded or live demoed, collect feedback and questions, react to this feedback and questions, and then start over with next logical area. So this is the global approach, how to start this initiative and how to start think of this. What is the best session for this initiative? For me, personally, I'm sharing my experience and it works within my organization. This is a combination of slides where I just describe the business meaning, context, users, rules, and then I demo this live on environment to show this visually. If this capability is not yet implemented, instead of environment, you can use prototypes or mockups or wireframes, whatever you have. Contents, the most important part. So I suggest always to start talk from business perspective. Give your team members business meaning and need. You can use persona framework and describe your user. Who is it? How often he or she uses the application? What for? What is the current struggle of this user? And what value we will give this user once we implement this particular capability? By personalizing this business content, you give your team understanding that, especially this is very important in B2B, when you do not know really your end user, you give this understanding that there is a human being besides the screen and who is using whatever you are right now implementing. And this bridges the gap between developer or tester or any other person within a team, bridge the gap between this person and end user. After this business intro, just mention the status, whether this is done, this is in progress, pre-planned, or for some reason postponed. Once you did this, go to logic. You can use whatever works for you: videos, slides, spreadsheets, requirements, specification. Describe how it should work. Then show it live or on pre-recorded demo, and supply your team with list of requirements, artifacts related to this particular logical area, in case they want to dig deeper after your session. And I want to share one very good tip with you. Whenever you are preparing to some presentation or demo or knowledge sharing session like Know Your Product initiative, imagine that you are trying to explain how this product works to your grandmother. Let's say she is 80 or 90 years old. Try to do this in such easy terms that even she can understand. Let's say I'm working in insurance software, so how insurance software works. If by this exercise you feel that, okay, this is easy enough right now for her to understand, most probably your team members would understand this too. This is a very practical tip and easy to implement. I hope it will help you with this initiative and all other meetings you are going to cover in your day-to-day job. So when, how often, and how long? It depends on your goal. So if you know that in 2 weeks I'm going to give my development team a capability to work on, and they do not know anything about this capability, and I want them to be prepared from at least business perspective, you can you can select refinement meeting or planning meeting and provide the description or this knowledge session during your refinement or planning meeting, if you have time. So, or you can schedule a call somewhere near to these sessions. If, for example, my particular case, I'm covering the whole product, which is partially already implemented, and I'm not tied to some particular implementation in the future. So I do not look at any other meetings. I just pick the time which is convenient for teams, and I just cover one by one these logical areas. This works fine for my organization, for my department. I do this once per sprint because we do not rush with this. We want to comprehensively understand the product. But if you have a deadline and you know that you have to, squeeze this information prior to implementation, you can schedule these sessions more often. How long? I suggest 1 hour as probably best duration, but you can go a little bit longer. Do not go longer than an hour and a half because people lose context, and whatever is your goal here, I think you will agree that the main thing is not for you to share the information. The main thing here, the main goal here is for this development team or number of teams, set of teams, to truly understand what you are sharing with them. So you have you should have them stay focused and interested in your discussion. To what to be prepared to. So 3 simple things. Listen to feedback. And when I say feedback, I do not mean compliments. Hey, that was useful. Thank you very much. We finally understood that. That's cool. That's great. This part of this initiative. But sometimes you can get feedback regarding your let's say user experience or some feature implemented when your team, which is not so aware of this part of the product, reviews this and then comes back to you and say, hey, it's not logical, or user experience is not friendly, or any other things they can spot. This is the most valuable feedback you can ever get, because this is prior to end user coming to you or customer coming to you and saying that, hey, we do not like it. It is not logical or not user friendly. So if you spot such thing, if you get such feedback, please register a backlog item, discuss it later, rethink it later. This is a room for improvement. Be prepared to answer a lot of questions. Just we started from silence during refinement meetings. The more team is engaged in this knowledge sharing sessions, the more active they become, and they start ask questions. Some questions could be difficult, so manage these Q&A sessions and try to cover them and schedule additional if you need to, but answer those questions, because also the sphere there, they ask more, the biggest number of questions shows you that this is the most unclear part of the product, and it might need a repetition. And the third bullet point here is repeat several times. If you have a complex solution, fintech solutions are mostly difficult to understand from scratch or from first attempt. So repeat several times. That's okay. Just your goal is for them to understand and to know the product better, not for you to share, not just to share, for them to understand. We are almost done here. So outcomes or results, what to expect from such initiatives. So if you implemented such initiative and you dedicated your effort and time, because obviously this is a long-term initiative, somewhere within this process, you will start spotting next outcomes. You will exclude exclusive knowledge keepers. You know that guy, Tom, who only he in our team knows how this particular area works. No, this would be excluded from your routine because people would be on the same page. Better team collaboration. Since you become this facilitator, team will start collaborate first with you and then one with each other and with different other teams, and this would lead to better quality of refinement and delivery. Better quality of refinement and delivery will lead to less scope creep. And the last and very important and effective, increased personal motivation and individual impact on the product within the team, because they start to have voice, and because they have this holistic vision of the product, of the development and strategy of this product, they will start share their ideas. They will start tell you that, hey, we are not so sure that this is the right approach. And this is also a very valuable feedback. But also this will boost their motivation to work and propose or implement the best solution possible. This is it from my perspective. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Would be glad to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Anastasia, thank you for running through that. It's it's something that I've personally experienced as well, with that disconnect between what you're actually building. And it's very difficult from the developer's perspective, because they have to make so many choices, and if they don't really understand the context, they don't know which choice to make. So yeah. It sounds like a great solution to the problem.
Thank you. Here we are, product people, to bridge this gap.
Exactly. We've actually run out of time, unfortunately, for questions, but if anybody has any questions, just send them through on whichever channel you're watching on, and we'll get those questions through to Anastasia. So, but I just want to say once again, thank you very much.
Thank you too for the opportunity.
That brings us to an end for today. But if you liked what you saw, we do also run a conference. Our next one coming up is in Dublin in October, where we'll have 50 speakers, 10 workshops. There'll be over 1,000 attendees. So if you liked what you saw, please do consider joining us at that. But if not, I just want to thank once again the speakers for sharing their amazing insights. Thank you for attending, and look forward to seeing you at the next UXDX online event. Thank you.